see what happens. Okay, so it looks like we're possibly live on Facebook. Claire, do you want to check out on ready to share?
Yeah, I've just refreshed it at the moment. It's not showing, but we had this last time where there was like a 30-second or so delay and we were going, it's not live, and it was. So not as yet. Okay. I will keep refreshing.
Interesting. Because it might be the other one that is saying I'm live. So which one have you done?
Oh, we're there.
You're there? Perfect.
We're there.
Because there is I see, technology escapes me sometimes. I have 2 events coming up today. I've got Dogs in Yellow live, and then the one I did earlier today is Dogs in Yellow live. So I've tried to delete that one. So I'm going to cancel that event and make sure that nobody can go on it. And then okay. So there we go. Oh, right. So yeah, so everyone should be on the Dogs in Yellow event. And you can, it's not showing up on my stream. You got it, Claire?
Yeah, I've got it, and it's now on my page as well.
Right. Okie dokie. Well, I'm not going to waffle anymore because this is far too interesting. I've seen 5 brilliant clients today, so I think I've done enough talking. And so, right. Sorry, my other half's shouting at me from the other room.
Is he telling you you're live?
Handy.
What are we saying?
The event that's it's not it's the separate live you're doing right now, not the event. Right.
Okay. So apparently we have got the duplicated event. So
you might have a prompt to join the live on Facebook on the other one. I don't know.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to end this stream and we're going to start again, and I'm going to try and cancel the other event. Oh, we've got 4 people watching. Oh, do you know what? Let's just go with it.
Share it across, Sarah. If you do the introductions, I'll see if I can put it onto your event.
Yeah, don't worry. Let's just share it across. Me and technology. Anyway, let's do the introductions. It is. So I am Sarah from Berkshire Dog Training and a technophobe by the sounds of things. So, but I am delighted to, I think I am hosting. We have 5 people joined us so far, and brilliant. Emma's let us know that she's joined. So thank you, Emma. Any questions that you may have as we go through this fantastic opportunity to discuss My Anxious Dog and Dogs in Yellow with Sarah Jones, and drop them in the Facebook live, and I will pick those up as we go through. So Claire, would you like to go next?
Yes, of course. My name's Claire. I run Insight Hounds. We work with sight hounds and specialise with ex-racing greyhounds. I'm based in the Midlands. I'm very excited about today's guest. Sarah, I think you need to do the introduction for Sarah. So Sarah Barkshire can do the introduction for Sarah, my anxious dog. As you've set this one up, I feel that this wasn't going to get confusing
at all. And we're side by side, Sarah. So we're in solidarity. And I met Sarah at an event in Newbury. Knew about what Sarah did, and was delighted when we met and found some common thinking, and just she agreed to come and join the live today. And this is an opportunity for people to learn a little bit more about what it stands for, how we can help ourselves and others, and also to share that this isn't a situation that there's no blame. This may happen, and how do we support each other? So Sarah, tell us a little bit about how it came about with Dogs in Yellow.
Hi. Well, I'm the other Sarah from My Anxious Dog in my yellow, just to make it easier. So I got into this because I got an 8-week-old puppy, a Cocker Spaniel called Bella. It was unexpectedly found out that I had an anxious pup on my hands, and never ever had experienced or heard of anything like it at all. Bella, when she was born, there was a traumatic birth. One of the pups died, so she had trauma from literally the start. And she also got bitten by one of her litter mates as well at 5-6 weeks old, probably playing or something like that. But it looked quite sore, because even when I went to view her at 7 weeks, you know, it looked still quite sore. And I also got Bella at 8 weeks old, which I now have learned that's still also quite young. She was always quite the shy little puppy, very cute. We'd done training and things like that, and she would always just focus on me, completely and utterly focus on me. And I thought it was because I was just a fab doggy mum, and she loved me, and that was that. But I've now learned that it's because she's not interested in what was going on around her at the classes, and that she didn't want to engage. A bit like when we walk our anxious and reactive dogs, we don't tend to look at people, so we don't, you know, get conversations. So yeah, it all sort of stemmed from there, really, and that's how, you know, I found that Bella had this issue. And then when she was, I don't know, she was about 6-7 months old, we had the first incident in the park where the dog came flying over, and I call it handbags now, but it does sound quite scary. The final one, she was about a year old, I think it was. We were learning flyball in the park, and this dog came from the other side of the park at full pelt and just took her out and hit her in the side. I think what happened was she didn't get bitten. It was really scary, but you know, you check them over for bite marks, don't you, things like that. But I think she had soft tissue damage and bruising, which obviously you can't see. So then when people touched her after that, it was sore. So she then became reactive to people, which was a big problem with a very pretty dog. So I then needed help with her reaction. So yeah, so that's how I then got told about yellow.
Yeah. And where, do you know where did it start, the yellow?
It's come from a lady who used to do training, I think, in Australia. So it's come from literally both sides of the world. It's in America that started up the ribbon project, and also Australia. And it comes from, the yellow ribbon comes from the horse world. So if you had a kicking horse, you used to put a red ribbon on the horse's tail to show that it kicked. And yellow being the official colour of caution, that's where the idea started. And it's and I've traced it back to the late 1990s.
Wow.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So is that what inspired the National Yellow Dog Day?
The Dogs in Yellow Day. Yeah. So it first started with, because Bella was reactive to people, I was told about the yellow, and I did try a yellow ribbon, but that's no good on a, you know, she was little cute cocker spaniel. It made things worse almost, just having this. And people can't see a ribbon, and and it wasn't, you know, I'm talking 2014, so 10 years ago. You know, it wasn't known then. So there wasn't much product about then. So this is how I first got into it. I needed to get product that's suitable for Bella. I wanted keep away and do not touch, because nervous or I need space didn't exactly say what I needed. So that's how I first got into it, really, and started doing some research, and then just basically designed and developed my own products, which is still going on even now. But it was important at that time for people to be able to see the yellow and understand with the correct wording on it, was how I then started.
So you started with the products then?
Yeah, and then the day came later.
Right, okay. Well, you do know that the Dogs in Yellow is my birthday.
Yes. First day of spring.
Absolutely. I know, I couldn't believe it. So I'm never ever going to forget it, that's for sure. And you know, how did the day come about then? Because if the products, you know, from an awareness point of view, you know, people trying to get to see the products, and you've got leads, and you've got cloaks that go over the dogs and things like that, haven't you? Yeah, it's the other side. You never know, do you?
Yeah, somewhere.
It's the generation game. Here's one I prepared earlier, isn't it?
It started with the products, and then people would say it's a really, really good idea, but nobody knows what it means. Right. So then what I started doing was I developed a range of products. So I do like these are, I know you can't see them very well, they're car stickers, and these are brilliant. They're poo bin stickers that you can put on your local poo bins, you know, in your local park where you walk. And then we do these type of posters as well, where people can ask their local vets, coffee shops, you know, pet shops, that type of thing, to display in the waiting rooms, reception, that type of thing. And wheelie bin stickers as well. It's even got a little square for your house number there. I've tried to be quite thoughtful. But that I would say to people, well, you know, it's down to you then to try and raise some awareness in your own area. You know, I can't, you know, do it all on my own. So, and then just the idea, somebody within a group that I'm in, Rachel Spencer, said to me about, you know, creating a awareness day. And I thought, that would never happen. You know, that's just pipe dreams. But with her help, we pitched it. And March is National Awareness for Anxiety. So because of the yellow, we took the first day of spring because of daffodils and the crocuses and all those sorts of flowers coming out as well. So I chose the first day of spring, and dogs in yellow is just easy to understand. You know, it doesn't need an explanation as such. So, yeah, I think I've done 3 years now.
Oh, yes, fabulous. I've suddenly thought the ladies are having a great conversation here. If anybody's watching this, we're talking a lot about the products and this sort of thing. What does a dog in yellow mean? So if someone's barking into this, I'm going to be honest, I'm thinking my mum's going to watch this. She's not into dogs. And she's going to be going, I don't really know what this yellow thing's about. And I've realised we're talking about it all.
Somebody's commented that
I need space. Yes.
Somebody's commented, oh good, Sarah's wearing yellow.
It's part of me now. So you know, a dog in yellow basically needs space for so many different reasons as well. It's not just, you know, reactivity. There's anxiety as well. So Bella is she is anxious, but I never realized she didn't show it in the way that I would think, like some dogs do, like they will go behind or tail down or cowering. She would fight or flight, Bella. So she would lunge and growl and snap and that type of thing. But then you've also got blind dogs, you've got deaf dogs, you've got elderly dogs, you know, you've got, you know, a mixture of all sorts. So there's lots of reasons why, and really we shouldn't even question why, but we always have to feel that we have to explain, which is a shame.
I think it's hard sometimes for guardians to see that, because there are, you know, our dogs can be inconsistent sometimes to us, the untrained eye, sometimes as if we don't know what we're looking for. Like you say, it can be, you know, fight or flight, it could be shutting down, it could be, you know, lunging and barking, because, you know, however they're trying to, what I think when I work with clients, I say about trying to, you know, whatever they're telling you, it's communication. So it's trying to understand what is it they're communicating to you and what's going on in that situation, and trying to offer them support. I'm sure, you know, when you first, you know, or when Bella has those situations, how do you support her?
When it first started happening, I was mortified, you know, and it's embarrassing, and you come home sometimes and you cry, and then for me, I was getting this puppy. The previous dog I'd rescued, had no problem at all with him, and then I was going to get this gorgeous little puppy, and everything was going to be wonderful, and it sometimes doesn't happen that way. So it's almost like a little bit of a grieving as well for the life that you thought you're going to have with your dog.
Yeah, totally.
And then it's the biggest thing is acceptance, which a lot of people do struggle with. One of the first thing is like, okay, she is like this, the understanding of it. And yeah, it's really, really isolating. It's really, really, you get anxious yourself especially when situations happen, when you do have some instances, like Bella has, you do at first, you're on tender hooks. Obviously now I know, all the steps to take a breath, turn round, throw treats on the ground, all that's important as well. So, we did do a lot of work with Bella when it first started happening. But to me, the yellow, after I'd learnt about it and accepted it, the yellow was also just as important as a lead. It was like showing she is an anxious and reactive dog, and the yellow, that's part of her. So it was a comfort for me and an expression for Bella as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, totally. I mean, I had an emotive dog with my American Bully, and being the breed he was, was not as cute to some people as Bella is, and I was at 5:30 in the morning walking him in the park because I didn't want to have that judgment. I didn't want to feel isolated. I didn't want to worry about it, and because I felt I was to blame. Even though I'd rescued him, because I thought I could solve everything, and it took a long time, and he changed, and my boy at the moment has gone through a very similar journey. But it definitely the work that you've done in raising awareness gives, as a guardian, not as a trainer, but as a guardian, that feeling that I'm not alone, and that can be, I think, so important when you're in that situation, and what do you do, and how do you cope in those situations?
Definitely. Sarah, one of the things that's really important to me, and I talk to customers about, is advocating for your dog, because I think some people, and there's still a lot of stigma out there, and some people, if their dog is as you were saying, either they need space for whatever reason because they're reactive. Sometimes they're just really scared of people coming near them, and that's going to cause problems and will make the dog feel worse. And I'm a big fan of having like a series of stock answers or stock sayings you can say to people when they come over to go. I'd be like, oh, they're having some training at the moment, so can you give them some space? Or they're newly adopted, they really need some space at the moment, and things along those lines can be really helpful for the people that aren't necessarily comfortable explaining the whole back history, or you can't necessarily do that in a 2-second park greet or a 2-minute park greet. Have you got any sort of favorite sort of sayings or words that you recommend to people when they try and approach you with Bella?
Exactly. I've actually tried. My dog's got an illness.
So I do try and be honest. I do say to people, my dog is scared of you or your dog because she's been attacked. It's generally, the majority of the time is what's happened. And then if someone says the usual, I've had dogs all my life, I just say to them, if you love dogs and you've had dogs all your life, you haven't had my dog all of your life, so you don't know my dog. But if you love dogs, please just pass by. If you love dogs, listen to what their owner is saying. But whatever you feel comfortable with, I would say a lot of people at the shows, you know, sometimes you see dogs like Bella's muzzle trained, and my husband is disabled. He's only got one arm. So he walks Bella with the muzzle. And if it's quite busy in places, if we're away in the camper van and things like that, we want to go to a cafe and try and find the little space in the corner away from everyone. You know, she wears a muzzle, and people don't like that. They stare. Or I've had some people where I've seen the dogs and they say, oh, I don't, you know, they have the little what they cloth muzzles on where the dog can't open their mouth or breathe, and they say, oh, but I don't want my dog to look like that. It, you know, looks like Hannibal Lecter type thing. They look really aggressive, and they have an issue with how their dogs look. So I always try to say, don't worry about what everybody else. You might never, ever, ever see that person again. What you've got to think about is what your dog would choose to say if it could speak our language, you know. So it's obviously communicating. So
I love that. What would your dog like to hear you say? I love that.
That is brilliant. That's brilliant. And I love what you said earlier about, well, if you love dogs, this particular dog, because then you're almost like putting it back on them, that if you care about it, you're going to listen to what I'm saying. It's a bit of a way of saying, because so many people, we all hate the expression, anyone that's been in the dog, oh, but don't worry, they're friendly. Which we've heard so many times, and sort of, well, your dog is, but if you love dogs, mine needs that voice at the moment.
I've got sorry.
And some of the stories that I hear as well when I do the shows, and obviously in my group, some of them have had such a horrific upbringing. You know, I'm not surprised they're going through the traumas that they have. And if some people would just stop, and if they knew that, they wouldn't be so judgy as well. You know, because I always say to somebody, you know, if I go out walking now, because I work so hard to raise awareness around where we live, I see 10 people, 7 will put their dog on a lead. And if they don't, I will then try my hardest to explain it in a really nice way, depending on the situation and what has happened. And I think that's really important for me to do as well, as if they don't. Most of the time, I very rarely have had any confrontations. I did in the start, and I thought I must try and keep calm myself, because these other people, they don't understand and they don't mean it. They're not picking on me. But it's trying to get the understanding of what all these dogs feel like. We all have different personalities, and we all have traumas. You know, if someone goes and has a trauma, and you suffer with PTSD, I think some of these dogs, it's exactly the same. They have a trauma and it's PTSD, and that's okay. It's okay for humans. So why is it not okay for our dogs?
And if you're anxious, that, you know, they feed. I mean, look how amazing dogs are at sensing, you know, with, you know, how people are feeling through health and well-being, through cancer and you know, and you know, through ADHD themselves, the assistance dogs, and you know, so you know that they might be feeling anxious. You're then in an anxious situation, and that just compounds everything. That, you know, just makes you, you know, not want to be anywhere that puts you in that situation. And before you know it, you're in the Shetland Islands walking with sheep, because that's the only place that you can go. Which I know you love your holiday, Sarah, because you've only just come back from one, haven't you? Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny because some people say, oh, well, I don't come across many people, you know, so I don't really need the yellow. Bella is in yellow all the time. You know, we walked around South Stack Lighthouse, and one of the afternoons when we first got there, it was misty. You couldn't see anything, but the heathers were gorgeous. So we just walked around, didn't see a soul, but she had a yellow on. You know, I took pictures of her in the heathers and things. But I'm proud, you know, part of our brand, which side is it, is the yellow heart. So like a lot of our products have the heart on there, because people say, I don't want to label my dog. We're not labeling them. We're doing it because we love them, is my motto. I do this yellow because I love Bella. And, you know, people don't understand her communication skills, and I didn't to start with either. And that's what it's all about. So like our collars come with a little yellow, I don't know if you can see over my shoulder.
Yeah.
They've got little yellow hearts on there. My
Yeah.
reindeer.
I've got one of those. Yeah, I've got one of those. I should have bought it upstairs. I don't know why I didn't. I could have gone, oh, but yeah, I've got one of those, and I love the hearts on it. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, and
so
I think how it's so thought through that, Sarah, you know, to try and make it easier for people to not feel that judgmental, you know, in that sense.
Yeah, it's something that, to say I want it to be cool to have a dog in yellow isn't quite really what, but you know, I want people to be proud to advocate for their dog, you know, with a dog in yellow, not to, you know, this is what my dog is, and you know, and I'm going to shout about it. That's not a problem.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a client at the moment who's got, I've been working with the client since the puppy was 8 weeks old. And, Tally is a beautiful golden retriever, and she is enthusiastic in most situations, but she's something's happened and she's a little bit more anxious now. And they've bought some of your items, and they are still struggling because of her prettiness and her breed and the concept of how people are. A lot of people are not heeding to the information. And what advice would you give them or people in that situation, no matter what you're doing, to try and, you know, help them understand, you know, because walking away isn't always the right option for the dog, is it? In my experience.
No. So sometimes I will, if I'm I don't often walk through a park and think places like that. I don't often do it, but now and again, sometimes you have to, because sometimes you think, well, why can I not walk here? Or, you know, I only want 5 meters square around me. You want this whole park, or you want this whole field, you know. So,
and, you know, Reading's full of parks, you know, so there should be enough space for everybody in Reading. And you've got a park or two up where you are in Birmingham, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
So I was once I got to the woods the other day, and there's certain types of, if I see a younger lady or, you know, someone like that, they generally know. Or if I see an older man or an older couple, they generally don't. But I saw a man coming up and he was older. So he doesn't do, you know, obviously they don't do a lot of Facebook and social media and things like that. And so I saw him coming up and his dog was off lead, and it was like a cockapoo type thing. So I just turned round and walked away, because I could tell that his dog was then following, and he was calling it and calling it and calling it and calling it. So I just carried on. In the end, I sort of stopped and turned round, and I done, you know, threw treats on the floor for Bella to sniff and everything. And we stood to one side, and I just said to him, thank you for eventually being able to get your dog back on a lead. I just want to say, you probably don't realise that if someone turns around and walks away, there's obviously an issue, but, you know, she's wearing yellow, which means that, you know, she's fearful, or, you know, there's an issue, and she needs some space. So, but thank you for doing that anyway. Or, you know, I always try and sort of do it, because a lot of people don't.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. So compliment and educate and explain.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. I just wanted to mention dog shows. We were talking earlier about dog shows. And little sidebar, I know you're at Dish and Dog Show on Sunday, so very excited to see you in person there. And anyone that's I know a few people of my members are going there, so please pop by and say hello to Sarah. I'm sure she'd love to see you. But at dog shows in general, you've been doing a great concept, which I think is just marvelous. Can you tell people a little bit more about what you've been doing at dog shows around the country this year?
Yes, so we do a yellow space zone. So I've been doing dog shows for a while, and it's amazing how many. I would never take Bella unless I really had to something like that. But being outdoors is better. Being outdoors. But last year I went to see Ali at Swallowfield Fair, and it was actually a lot bigger than I thought it would be. And everything was great. She was in yellow, she was muzzled, it was quite busy, so that, you know, there was no problem at all. But we wanted to have a cup of coffee and, you know, something to eat. And it was just so busy around these areas, there was just nowhere to go. So we had to go like behind and go and sit behind the stands, and there was, you know, rubbish. And so it felt difficult even just to have something to eat and sit. And you were on tenterhooks all the time, you know, because there was kids running around, you know. And yeah, it gave me the idea of having a little safe space. I need to have like these little safe spaces for, so if you do go to a dog show, that you could come to, we have two areas, and they've got a little pop-up tent. And in the tent that we have snuffle mats from, we have a board and buster from Pet Remedy. We've got Rilos and Rulos and Tug Enough toys, and, you know, whatever the dog fancies doing, like a little games or area of cardboard chaos and finding things. And we put sprats in the grass and try and get a haystack, because that's full of all sorts of smells and things. But it means that the owners can come in, and if they want to, they can just sit and have half an hour to themselves and just be. And then the dogs can decompress, ready to go back out into the fun games type thing. So we've had, they've been really, really popular, really, really busy with anxious dogs and reactive dogs. You know, we've had people come in. A lovely lady came in. She had an Alsatian wearing the muzzle movement muzzle on, you know, a lovely muzzle, but she was able to take it off in a safe space and just sit. And she said she was in there about 15 minutes, and then the dog was having a little play, and then it sat down. And she said that's the first time it sat down all day because it de-stressed. So,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's just something so logical that you think, why is that not, you know, everywhere? But it's really taken off this year. So we've done quite a few shows, but we've got one coming up as well. So Dog Fest have really run with the idea. They've been absolutely amazing, because they're quite big shows and everything. And ideas have developed from stuff, because we only started them at All About Dogs in Newbury in April, I think it was the first one we've done. And now we have one coming up at Porfest in Kent, where they're actually having a separate Dogs in Yellow entrance. And it's a 2-day show. So on the Saturday between 4 and 5, they're actually having Dogs in Yellow activities, so that if you want to come later on in the day and feel that you want to have a little go at some of these, you know, agility or all the things that they do, that they can.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And then we're finishing off with a yellow pup parade as well, so that we can walk around the ring, being very proud of our Dogs in Yellow.
With just that little extra space, I guess you just all got that space between each other is a lot more than maybe the average dogs.
And obviously when we're at these shows, you know, like one of the ones we've done with Dog Fest, they had like 28,000 people in the weekend, and you hope that virtually every single one of them has walked past our stall and will read all the information about Dogs in Yellow, and, you know, will learn. So it's a good way to educate as well as support the people with anxious dogs.
Definitely.
Brilliant. So I was going to say, so if people wanted to get hold of any of the products, I know both Sarah and myself are affiliates with you, so people can get discount codes by coming to us for your products as well. But what's your website, Sarah? Well, we'll put it on. I'm sure Sarah will put a link on.
One of my clients has already beaten us to it. So,
wow! Sorry, I haven't got the Facebook open. That's brilliant. Thank you.
When you've finished explaining, Steve's actually got a question as well. So we'll share how people can get in touch with you or with the products, etc. And then I'll just put the question out that he's raised.
Yeah, so my website and all my socials and everything are My Anxious Dog, just to make it easy for everyone, .co.uk.
Perfect.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So Emma's asking whether you're going to the Swallowfield show again this year. I'll let you answer.
No, I'm afraid I'm not. No, we've
You're
got edition dog. So,
yeah.
but Ali from Be Kind
Be
Rescue.
Kind. Yeah, a good friend of ours is going to be there, and has got some bits and pieces to promote the Dogs in Yellow at the show. So yeah, so Emma, if you go and see Be Kind Rescue at the Swallowfield show, she's there for a few days, then she'll be able to connect with you. And then Steve's
we're
question.
excited to get you in Birmingham for the day instead.
I know. And then Steve's question, Emma said thank you. Steve's question is, they've got a little dachshund and is fine with 90% of dogs, but I'm fascinated with how she herself knows the other 10% are a problem. Do you think dogs get triggered by tail position or ears, or perhaps size, noise, or is it a combination of all of the above or none?
Well, I'm not a dog trainer or behaviourist. I'm just an owner of an anxious dog. But with Bella, the bigger the dog, she doesn't like. She's not so bad with smaller dogs, but yeah, I mean, a tail thing is a big thing, isn't it? You know, in canine communication as well. You know, the amount of people you say, but your dog's wagging a tail. Yeah, that's not a friendly, relaxed wag. It's
the body's stiff and you've got the jaw and everything else. And I think, you know, knowing the dog as I do, we've it's certain dogs, definitely big black dogs, because of an incident very similar to Bella that has happened. But we had an interesting situation where actually we didn't know, but this person walked past the Dachshund, and she started barking, and we were like going, oh, you know, completely, you know, not sure, but, you know, did all the things like you say, you know, to help her manage that situation. But the person actually went into the house of the dog that she always has a response to.
Oh.
So I think it's also what it taught us in that situation is that it's not necessarily always the dog or the person. It could be the combination of the two all together, or the association of somebody going into a place that they have had something happen. So it's not always as simple as, oh, it's a big black dog, or it's this dog, or it's this place, or whatever it might be. It's about it's peeling an onion, isn't it, to try and work out, okay, well, what is it that we're working out, and how do we help them process what they're dealing with, and give them that space, like you say, to be able to understand and manage it with our support.
Yeah, absolutely. And smell, isn't it? I mean, they have
an amazing
smell.
Yeah,
definitely.
I haven't got any questions, but I've got a gorgeous photo that Millie's put on our Facebook page of one of her dogs, Fleur, all dressed in yellow.
And that's what
yellow
people going, yes, we've got dogs in yellow, and yes, I'm going to share it, and this is my story. And yeah, the more people do it, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, we've got some lovely engagement on the chat. Just, you know, people sharing about their situations, and and some people saying hello. Ali being one of them, Sarah. So, is there any last words that you would have that you want to share, Sarah? Because before we round up the live.
Nothing massively, but just be proud of the dog that you have, and don't worry about what everybody thinks of your dog. You know, if you've got a dog and it needs space, you know, with a yellow, be proud of that yellow. You know, that's what your dog is saying anyway. So yeah, I just tell people, just don't take to heart what other people say or how they judge you, or, you know, the most important thing out of it all is our dogs, isn't it? At the end of the day, we do it all for the dogs.
I think we're all dog guardians, aren't we? And I think we totally concur with that. And you know, I think, speaking on behalf of you, Claire, I want to say thank you, Sarah, on behalf of all the hard work you do to help other dog guardians and people who need that the support and awareness. Thank you so much for your passion, your drive, your determination to make this, and coming and joining us on our live to share that information with others.
Oh, thank you very
100%. I
much.
was going to say exactly the same as Sarah. And on behalf of the dogs everywhere, you're making a huge difference to their world by doing what you're doing. So,
Forgot
you
the
know,
dogs.
I'm
Never
sure if they
forget
could, I'm sure if they could speak, thinking of what they would say, Sarah, just as you told us to, I'm sure they would be saying a great big thank
Well,
you.
one
to
of
you.
our
Really
awareness,
good.
you talking about talking dogs, one of our videos on our website is dogs stood at a bus stop talking.
Oh, I need to take a look at that.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Fantastic, brilliant. Well,
That's
thank
brilliant.
you very much, everybody, for joining. And yeah, you'll see each other in Birmingham. I'm going to my own music festival, so I won't be there. But we'll connect soon, Sarah, because we've got a few things that we want to do that we'll be talking about. So thank you again for everybody for joining, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.